Hey guys, today I'd like to give you a very quick introduction and walkthrough of my newly written PowerShell wrapper called AzurePwn. It's a wrapper around Azure CLI, Microsoft Graph PowerShell module and the AZ PowerShell module. And the reason is that I lately played around a lot with Pwn labs. Especially the red side stuff in Azure. Yes, I wanted to sharpen my skills, get to know new attack vectors, etc. pp. And as the tasks were repetitive, so like you compromise credentials, you use those to log into Azure CLI, so see what groups you are and see the resources, try to carry out attacks, etc. pp. The next thing is, you want to reset the password. You need Graph for that. So you use the same credentials, log into Microsoft Graph, PowerShell commandlet, carry out the attacks, etc. pp. So to make things easier and quicker, I built this tool. It has some pre-built queries. It has some attack vectors that you can abuse with it. So I think let's just see what the tool does, how it looks like, how it feels. We will use one of the premium labs from Pwn Labs, and it's the credential shuffle one that I used quite a lot building the tool. I will not expose the credentials, so no one's blaming me afterwards. But what we start with actually is a database user whose credentials we found, and from that we have to do like all the post-ex stuff. See what resources, keywords, groups, administrative units, etc. pp. we have access to, and then see where things are going. I think we are not going to cover all the things that are in this lab, but most of them. So as for the tool, as regular, you can get it from my GitHub repo. It's in the Pentest tool collection, tools, Azure, and then AzurePwn. I already downloaded it here, and let's just execute it. So first thing is that we always need to specify our playground by setting the tenant. And in that case, it's bigtech.com. The tool will try to see if the name is tied to an actual tenant and also reflect the ID if it found one. So now that this is green, this is all set. Next, we have the login menu, and you can see we mainly use the first three to log into the three tools that we need. But we can also log in as service principal. So if we maybe have compromised a service principal or an application, set a secret for it, we can also log in as those. So for now, let's just use our database user. And normally I go and log into all three tools and run all the predefined queries that we have, because depending on the tool that you use, you get a varying amount of depth of information. Like Azure CLI can only give you like the username and the description, while Graph can give you like 10,000 details regarding a user object or something like that. And as said in the beginning, sometimes you have tools that are capable of doing stuff and others that can't. So let's get rid of those users to start fresh. Logging into the AZ PowerShell module, and once that is done, this will be reflected here. What you can see is that before we log in, the script actually logs out the current account of these tools, so there's no overlap or mangling up of data. IBM is very, very slow when it comes to internet connection for some reason. Okay, now you can see we logged into the AZ PowerShell module as DB user. And last but not least, the graph version, also DB user. Yeah, that went quick. And you can see that we logged out as Daiki before and now are the DB user. And all that is reflected in this little header menu. If we log in as a service principal, we will also see the service principal's name, which again you need to carry out further attacks against those. So I thought felt it was cool to have them at direct hand here. Okay, now that we have logged in, let's get back and let's do some simple queries. So the predefined ones, let's get the user info. You will have a selection from all the 3 modules that you can directly use. So let's, in that case, it doesn't matter, use the DB user and query as a Azure CLI for our user information. And this will just be the JSON output from Azure CLI towards this user object. And of course it makes no sense. We will see that later. Let's check our groups. I select 3, it doesn't matter. Let's use Azure PowerShell module. Okay, so now it says it's not implemented. Maybe it would be nicer to not show it at all, but yeah. Let's do it again. Let's use the graph module now. And now we can see that we are only a member of the default directory group. So this is not the way we should go here. Let's check key vaults. Let's use Azure CLI. It will run much smoother when you use it. It's just my VM, as I said, that's lagging like hell. Okay, now output, so no key vaults we have. So in that case, it's all about administrative units. And you can think of administrative units like organizational units in on-prem AD. And you can assign roles to these units, and you can assign users to those roles. And they then have the rights that those roles have on the users inside that administrative unit. And I built a little script that fetches all AUs. It quickly checks if your user you are running it with is in one of those role assignments. And we can see that, in fact, in the AU Megabig Tech Unit 1, where the role Authentication Administrator is attached to, that our DB user is one of those role assigned users. And then we have a user Daiki, which is a member of this administrative unit. So in theory, we should be able to reset this user's password. And to do that, we can go into the attack menu, select one, reset the user's password via graph. This is only possible in that case via graph. So Azure CLI and the AZ module would not be of help here, at least how I implemented it or as far as I know. So let's do this. Enter Daiki, give it a very secure password, and that worked. And now we should be able to log in as Daiki. Let's check that. And once this user is logged in, it will be updated in the header. And now we can see that our CLI connected account is in fact Daiki. And if we now go back, do again the queries, user info, now we can also select the Daiki account. Let's use it, but let's use graph to query all the details of this user. Should be a rather huge list, I guess. Yeah. And now you can see we have the surname, we have the user principal name, etc. pp. He's a mid developer, the ID of the user account, so you name it. And one thing maybe which is of interest is if we use it again, let's again use Daiki, and we can use all available modules to query those information. And this is, like I said, some tools are capable of delivering more input and or output, more details, while others can't. So each of them might have their specific use case. So here you can see like the graph output is like the biggest one. The AZ PowerShell module is a little bit more limited, and the CLI output is very, very limited. Maybe you can even get more out of it, but the way I did it, it's working that way. So now that we are logged in as Daiki, we can, I guess, check on the owned objects. Use Daiki, use all. Okay, now you see the Azure CLI one is only working for the current user. But this is Daiki, so potentially it might work. Yeah, it works. So we can see that Daiki is owner of an application with the display name of Daiki AzPwn, and we already have like an app ID. So what that means is that as the user Daiki, we should be able to abuse the graph PowerShell module to add a secret to it. So to do that, let's log in to graph, but this time we need to use Daiki. Okay, now our graph related account is Daiki. We go back. Let's run a query. Let's run a query on app details. And it was Daiki minus AzPwn. And now we have the display name, the app ID, and the service principal ID. So we note this down. Then go back, go to the attacks. Then we want to set a new secret for an application. Then he says we need the object ID. Then we have like a new secret. And now we should be able to log in as this application. Let's try that. To Azure CLI. Now we need the application client ID that we saw. Enter the client secret. We can see we are logged in now. And if we refresh that, we are now logged in as Daiki app AzPN. And now you can see that also the service principal name is filled here, so to further work with it. What else to say here? The queries, yeah, feel free to extend them to whatever you want to have. It has like raw queries where you can enter whatever you want. AZ account show. I don't know if this is working. Yeah, it is. You can always get out of here with exit. The not so nice thing here is that it's no autocomplete, so you have to know what you're looking for to actually use it. Then I also have this logout functionality, so where it clears like all the variables and logs you out of everything. So we are starting from point blank. Then I have this check tools and updates, but I'm not going to run it as this takes like ages. This is about checking, do you have Azure CLI and is it the newest version, and same for the other two tools. Yeah, and last but not least, it's getting out of here. Okay guys, that's it so far. I'm absolutely open to pull requests, suggestions, what to improve, etc. pp. But for now, that's it for the tool. Have fun with it. Let me know if you have fun with it, if you want to reach out to me on X, LinkedIn, or whatever. Have a nice one. Bye.